Hello my friends, today I'm gonna show you how to use light and colors to create an interesting photo and tell a story. My name is Olivio, I'm a professional designer from Vienna, Austria. Let's get started. So you can see here, this is the picture I worked on and this is the original photograph, and the problem here is that the light is very uniformly spread over all of the landscape, and this might be confusing to the viewer because it's not clear where to look or what the picture wants to show us. And it is in general more satisfying if we have a certain guidance in the picture, and light or brightness is a very good guidance for the eye to know where we should look. So this feels more satisfying, but there is another reason too why this works for us. And this is, for example, if we have this picture here of a desk with all the other elements on them, our eye doesn't work like that. We don't see the world like this. We would see it more like that. For example, if we would focus on the picture up here, all the other things on the screen would be more blurred on the outer edges of our field of vision. So we have a certain guidance, and this is why we feel more satisfied when a picture is guiding our eye and telling us what is going on, where we should look. And the way we can do this is up here on the right side. Here down we have our adjustment filters, and for example we can use curves, and curves can help us to make the picture brighter or darker, and again this is very uniformly applied to all of the picture. But the big benefit in Affinity Photo is that every adjustment layer has a mask built into it. So I would suggest to set it to a more extreme setting, and then you can use your paintbrush with the colors black or white to paint onto your adjustment layer and thus onto the mask of the adjustment layer. And usually black means that this will block out the effect, so it will not be applied to that area, while white means that this is the area where it's transparent and the effect can shine through. So as you can see, I've set my brush to a rather big setting with a very soft edge, so the hardness is at 14%, and I will just click once here onto the background. I can see now the effect is not applied in this area but around on the other areas. And of course now we can set it to a setting that is more sensible to our picture. I will leave it at that. I will delete the other layer so this is not too confusing for you to look at. Okay, so now you can see that already we have a certain guidance in here because our landscape now is lit more on the left side here in this area, while these areas here and over on the right side are darker, and for the eye the lighter areas are more attractive, and also this gives the landscape more of a structure, so we have more of a feeling, a 3D feeling in the picture, which is very helpful to really appreciate how the landscape is flowing. Another thing that we can do, and of course you can apply this to every adjustment layer in here, is we can use, for example, recolor, and this looks very extreme, but we're gonna set the blend mode to soft light, and then we can adjust it, for example, to a nice orange. You can see this gives the landscape a nice sunset touch. Again, we don't want to have it applied in the same way to all of the picture. So what we're going to do is that we are taking our brush again, and we don't need it up here in the sky because the blue here is very nice and we want to keep that sunset feeling. So I will paint on this with our black brush. That's again has a very soft edge, 14% still. I will scroll down a little bit and we will reduce the opacity to 25%, so I can take multiple strokes to reduce the impact down here because I want to have this sunset orange less applied the closer the landscape is to us. So now it looks like this, and of course you can always go up here to opacity and reduce the impact of the filter on the picture. So you can see here we can make it a little bit softer. Yeah, And of course, also the reason is why I have this color more intensely at the horizon of the picture is that the area that's closer to us is, how can I say, stretched out more, while it's more compressed at the area of the horizon. So more landscape is in a shorter distance or a shorter space of the picture, so we can have more color here than closer to our eye. And again, this gives more of the impression that we have a flowing landscape that's going backward into the picture. Okay, another thing that we can do here, and this is another way our eye works, is that the picture where we look at, where we are focusing at, is sharper to our eye and has more details. Like, again, I said, the outer areas of our field of view is blurred out. So we can use this while applying our clarity filter, and this is in here with the live filter, so also those have the mask inside them. So let's use the clarity filter, and here we will use a little trick. So I'm going to use my paintbrush, and the natural state of this mask is that it's completely white, so it's completely empty, and you couldn't paint any more white on it. But what we can do here is we will click at the area that we need. So let's set this back to 100% actually for the opacity. I will click in the same area once, and then I'm going to go up here, layer, and invert, and this will actually invert the mask. So you can see here in this little preview that now we have a white soft circle surrounded by black in the picture. And now we can adjust the clarity. I will set it to really extreme, and you can see here this is just applied to this area in the picture. Of course, we are not going to set it so extreme. We're just going to set it a little bit so it has a little bit more clarity and contrast in that kind of area where the picture is brighter. Okay, so another thing that can make the viewing experience of the viewer more satisfying is to use a vignette. The reason for that is, let's hide the other layers real quick. This is the starting picture. As you can see here, the photograph is open to both sides, so it's flowing out in both sides, and the eye is not kept in the middle of the picture or at the center of the picture, which can be okay for a lot of pictures, but it gives you a certain degree of satisfaction if the picture is canceled off to the side, where you know this is outside of the viewing field and nothing is happening here. So the eye is turned back from the edges of the picture toward the center of the picture. This is kind of a guiding technique that you can use, and you can use light or darkness for that basically. And let's set this extreme so we see where our vignette is happening, and we will make this a little bit elliptical like that. So that's good. Let's maybe make the scale a little bit bigger so we have just captured the corners, and then make it a lot more subtle like this. So it's just a little bit, but it still gives us the impression that the center of the picture is more important. You can see here the effect is subtle, but it still gives our eyes the hint that this area around it is a bit darker, and so this is how can I say, canceling off the picture to the sides. Our eyes are not flowing out of the picture. Okay, so now that we have all these effects applied, of course, we can go back into every of these effects as they are live effects and adjust them in the way they are influencing the pictures, because they are over time, when you use more and more of these layers, they are stacking up, so they might be too extreme. You might have to reduce a little bit how strongly the impact is on the picture. Okay, let's use it like this. Okay, great. And now we can, I will go up here to edit, copy, flatten, and then copy, paste, and this will just help me to create a layer that is just pixels without the effects, and is a good way to show a before and after. So let's turn off all the effects. And you can see here, this is the starting picture, and this is the picture that we have created afterwards. And you can see there's a lot of more guidance in here. It's more satisfying and more clear where you should look and what are less important elements of the picture, as well as making the landscape look more 3D, have more depth, more natural flow, and also being in a form that our eye would actually see the landscape. Yeah, so like I said, the field of vision to the sides is more blurred, less bright, and doesn't have this kind of sharpness and concentration. Okay, so this is how you use light and colors to create a story and make the picture more interesting. Thank you very much for watching. If you like my channel, I do 2 tutorials per week. And if you want to support me even more, head over to Patreon, where I have some great options for you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye.